gentlemen, welcome to Block Party. I'm your host, Mike Wahle. Thanks for watching. Hit me at Mike Wahle68 on Twitter, Process to Perform, and Instagram X, excuse me. And of course, check out our YouTube channel, Process to Perform, if you want to check out all the videos we put up on these Green Bay Packers and their opponents. Like, rate, subscribe, review, all that stuff. Our show is always sponsored by BetOnline. BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch games as they happen. The largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, college basketball, National Hockey League, UFC. We've got it also. Head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use the promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. Really, the big storyline here is the Packers invade Seattle. Fans, players, coaches, organization just invade Seattle, dominate the Seahawks 30-13, and the Packers come into this game favorites. We said it before. This is one of those games the Packers should win. They're the better football team on paper, certainly, but there's this home field advantage to Lumen. I guess it used to be called Question I was playing, but Lumen Field. They almost immediately took away home field advantage from Seattle, and you just never know how these games are going to play out. We're going to talk about a little bit why this happened, but starting as well as they are starting in a lot of these football games, the second quarter of the game's over. The third quarter, you can actually hear on the TV copy Packer fans talking, chanting, "Go Pack, go!" in Lumen Field, which I just have to tell you, from a player's perspective, is really unprecedented in that place because it is a very loyal fan base. It's a fantastic stadium to play for if you're a Seattle player or fan. But the crowd noise certainly seemed to be affecting the Seahawks offense much more so than the Green Bay Packers offense. But I want to start with the defense because I just think this is another signature game where Jeff Hafley and this defense, they just really played lights out. Even when, and schematically, we can talk about X's and O's and why things are going well, and particularly on a lot of the stunts early on that helped. But even when plays weren't schematically going to win, they weren't advantageous. Seattle, the defensive line in particular, TJ Slayton maybe in particular, was one-on-one battles. Like, in other words, if everybody's getting doubled but one guy, that one guy was winning and forcing the ball to be stopped or jump cut in the backfield, changing direction. Charbonnet so many times had to go from starting on one side, having to reverse field and try to go back the other. And then in a game where you're going into it, and we talked about it on multiple shows last week, the defensive line has to come up with something new. They have to come up with some new pass rushes. They have to be able to create mismatches on their own, just win your 1v1s. Sacks were being literally handed out by Seattle by the end of the game, particularly because Geno Smith was out. And I think anybody who's ever played with a backup quarterback understands, we'll talk about it later on the clips, but what confidence does and what losing your starting quarterback in a game that you're the underdog at home, in that situation, you're replacing him with a guy that I think on the commentary they said that he had been sacked 61 times or some ridiculous number prior to this season. This was the game that the defensive line needed. They won their 1v1s, they won their stunts, they won their games, they won their pressures combined with the linebackers, and we saw some new moves. Lucas Van Ness tried a spin move, and after weeks of talking about trying new stuff, these guys seem to have the perfect game plan for what Seattle was going to do. And obviously, when you're going to have to throw the ball as much as they did, it's going to be a problem. But I just thought that, everybody played well, but the defensive line in particular, I just really like the way they played. Let's go through this game a little bit chronologically. So you see they go trips. They motion over and they bounce Nixon over. So they really kind of looking at a man here, and he just gets caught with his eyes. So they do an out and up. They clear it out with the go route on the inside. And so you're starting out, and Geno Smith can throw the football to spots. He's got a great arm. He's strong, stands in the pocket, takes probably a couple unnecessary hits because of it, but he can deliver a football on the spot where it needs to be. And so you look at this. I think this is the second play of the game. You're going, okay, well, they've got a little something there. But this is really the moment of the day, and this is the theme of the day. And I'm going to start back by, and I'll show you why on the widescreen. But Nixon's the only linebacker, quote unquote. Sorry, Nixon's the only second level player in the box because they have Walker and McDuffie walked out towards the bunch. This is an advantageous play for Seattle. But TJ Slayton wins his matchup, just completely dominates, ragdolls the guard, who had a rough day, and gets in the backfield. Now, same play, different angle. The Seahawks guessed right, but you still got to block the player. So we got McDuffie out here on the point. Quay's got to be halfway in between because they need to be able to attack this when they throw the screen. They show that they're going to run the bubble. They hand the ball off. And so this should be a good, this should be not a good, this should be a great play for the Seattle Seahawks schematically. TJ Slayton just destroys the play. And quite frankly, this was the theme of the game. We had a lot of schematic wins, but if it's even, these guys are winning their matchups. So 2x2 here. Everybody's walked up. A-gap rushers. Edgerrin Cooper, we've seen this a number of different times with Quay, but he's starting from depth. This is the old Chicago Bears defense when Briggs and Urlacher would walk up and which one was going to pick. We've seen this for 20 years. I'll show this play from the other angle because, Laken Tomlinson's a left guard for the Seattle Seahawks. He's a good player, veteran in this league. And you're kind of shocked. The center's going to point to the right. He's going to go to Quay because Quay's been the guy that's coming. So they're going to run the pick stunt on the left guard and have Kenny come underneath. But I have to be honest, for him to set flat like this with the running back that far in the backfield, I was shocked. I mean, this is a great scheme call by the Packers, but really blockhead play for me for the left guard. And this is what the Packers have done well all year, quite frankly, is when somebody makes a mistake, I think defensively, they don't, they take advantage. Like you're taking your gimmies, and you have to credit the Packers for being able to do that because not everybody in this league takes their gimmies, quite frankly. So we get 1 sec there. So you just start and have floodgates are open, guys. So we start the run game here. This changeup I just wanted to show because every time, and this is not a Lucas Van Ness thing at all. This is really anybody on the defense. On that open end side, and we have a potential crack, but these guys are trying to penetrate. They're in a 3-point. They're not trying to play back out. And everybody's probably seen that at this point. So the reason I bring it up is at this set, they've been running tackle blocks down, and we've got a pin, and we've got a backside guard who's pulling. We'll come and crack Isaiah McDuffie with the wide receiver, and then we have the guard coming up to Quay, and it's out the gate, right? So the Packers adjusted to that, moved everybody out, and they always want to shoot this defensive end. So the Seahawks, I thought, had a good change up here because they know that guy's going to crash and go upfield and try to disrupt this guard. They just pinned it with the wide receiver, and they pulled 2 guys. They ran this play 2 or 3 times. One of them was for no gain, but the other 2 actually were good plays. One was for a touchdown, kind of not a garbage touchdown, but pretty close. But good job of these guys getting around, and obviously we have to make the tackle downfield. Just an interesting changeup because this, part of these games are really our chess matches is from the offensive defense coordinator perspective. So we come across here, and now this is why you have to run those kind of plays. If they run the split flow where they have the tight end coming backside, you've got your backside defensive end in a 3-point. I think this is an Igbari, and he's not slowing down for anybody. He's just running to the mesh point, and as soon as he identifies what's happening, making a play. And this has just been kind of the name of the game really all year for the Green Bay Packers is we're going to get there before the split flow happens, especially when they understand the depth and the width of the running back. And so, again, for me, that's part of the interesting part of the game is they're going to look at that play and go, how do we attack this player knowing that he's going to be able to come that strong downhill or upfield? And then is that going to have any effect on what he does the next time around? The answer was no. So we got a trip side. I think they're going to go in motion to a 2x2 here. Yep. We go across. And I think this is start with the floodgates are open. Yep. So this is really Carl Brooks doing a great job of winning on a double swipe. I'm going to show it here from the end zone. He doesn't get any stats here, but this is really his play. Maybe he got a pressure. I'm not sure. But, Rashawn Gary ends up getting the sack. This is really Carl Brooks' play. Rashawn gets blocked pretty well by 72. Abraham. Double swipe. Beats that guard I felt bad for this guard. I've been in that situation, man. He had a rough day. So double swipe, wins, And Rashawn, because of the beneficiary of that guard getting beat so bad, comes up underneath and gets a play. Fantastic job. And listen, that's what it takes. One guy wins, the other guy cleans up. Now, this scheme is different. And I'm going to show this from the Packers offense, Seattle defense. When you have the back off set, you have to figure out defensively how do you want to match that set. In other words, would you prefer that the linebacker? Kenny Clark doesn't have to be this wide. Kenny can play a regular three technique, and we can move Isaiah McDuffie out to mirror in case they want to do the quick toss. But they prefer to play this inside. They shift Quay over, and they keep Kenny on the backside. My guess is they decide to do this because they don't think Kenny will get blocked by the backside tackle. In other words, they think that that's a matchup they like from a leverage standpoint. And this allows Isaiah McDuffie, if they go outside, to have a little bit cleaner picture, as opposed to him being backside B gap, Kenny's tight, and then he's got to figure out if he's going to play over the top, and Kenny's going to get double. With this defense right here, I would be running inside all day, every day. You could run a full block with the left guard on Kenny and have the tackle come around for McDuffie and just double team up to Quay. I mean, there's so many things you could do that are successful. They decided to run this outside, talking about Seattle, and it just sends up. This is maybe why the Packers run the scheme the way they do, because now it's so obvious. I think the guard false steps here, but McDuffie runs right by. Witt runs by. Quay gets bounced over, but they end up getting a tackle for 1 yard gain on a play that should have been successful just based on numbers. And people are winning. This dig route, this deep cross is really tough because he breaks it at 32 and catches the ball at the 32. When you have the safety playing high man on that crosser like that, and he's got a drive on it, you're hoping that player does a little bit of a it's a little sloppy with that cut and fades that into the 29, 28 where he can get to it. If they keep that clean, it's a really tough play. Smith-Jigba, I mean, one thing they talked about on the TV copy of this is how often they're targeting one player, and is that affecting the team? It's certainly affecting the way they can move the football right now, given the fact that they do have Tyler and obviously DK at the wide receiver position, maybe not being used to their full extent right now. Kenneth Walker the third being out, it's an issue as well. But the Green Bay Packers, I have you got to pick a couple plays out here where they don't have it perfect, because man, they really played well during this game. So we've got trips, single receiver to the bottom, and they run Eric Wilson on the stunt. And they showed this on TV. They actually explained this incorrectly. So they run the out, and it is compressed space, but really we're going high side for the corner here. He's not just trying to run out 5 yards halfway through the end zone. You're going to take all this space and try to run away, and have Gino's got to put it on the spot. Now, we do a great job of coming off this pass. I think this is the second play in a row that he had a chance at a pick. Getting some yards and doing the whole thing. It's fantastic. And it's a great play. There's no question about it. This is the real reason, pressure equals picks. So 45, Wilson comes out, and we've got two guys in Gino's face. He's going the wrong direction. He's back foot throwing, so he doesn't get enough on the ball. This is the reason for the pick. Pressure equals picks. That's the way things are happening. Ball is just thrown short. It's as simple as that. You heard it here. Great play to be made. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely dominant performance, I think, at times by TJ Slayton. So centers, so we got easy blocks here. Again, numbers-wise, this is very easy. Very, very easy. We have a slip to Wilson with the left guard, left tackle. We have a single block, the hardest block. We have a backside B to McDuffie. Tight end's either going to sift this through, put a hand on Rashawn and play up to McKinney. But so there's only one person that has to win. And they do. They just absolutely dominate that block. Force the backside cutback. Gary wins his. So Gary did a little bit of a cheat stunt inside. And they end up getting nothing. McDuffie chases him down. That's what's happening right now with this team, is if you're going to be able to win inside against a very, very below average or average or below average interior offensive line, you're going to have a lot of success. So we go double threes. We got the new spin move from Devontae Wyatt. I don't have Van Ness's on here. I should have put it on because it's great to see that they're doing something new. This right guard, this poor kid gets beat again. And then, Devontae Wyatt just Supermans this guy. Like he does sumo splash on Gino. This is, I think, right before Gino gets injured. We got this play I wanted to put in there because we don't, appreciate this enough. So Kenny does a great club rip move here to the inside again on that right guard, poor kid. But he gets a holding call. He gets, this is a takedown tackle. And they end up scrambling, and Gino does a good job of making a play here, and they end up getting a first down. They have to bring it back. So instead of 1st and 10, it's like 2nd and 22 or something like that. And that's a big deal. I mean, we don't get, again, it's not about getting credit for these plays sometimes. You're trying to see what the value is for a certain player or whatever. Sometimes guys look at their stats. It's like, you got to watch the tape. That's a big play in the game. This is when you know things are going well. You only rush 3, you drop 1. And Enigbari does a good job here. Again, you bring in the backup quarterback, and you're thinking how many sacks he's giving. Like this team knows they're in a lot of trouble. They have to throw the football. This isn't game management anymore. It's just going and try to win the football game. Enigbari, Abraham comes back 72. He takes a decent set, but you watch his hands, and his hands are spread. He gives up the chest. And so Enigbari just takes it, take the chest, push him away. Quarterback's holding the ball. That should never happen, but that's why he's the backup. We go motion over to trips, 4-man rush, and he's got plenty of time to throw. Initially, he gets deep, has to run through the pocket, and it's like, this is why you have 61 sacks. I think I'm pretty sure that number's right. Right here, anybody gets another sack here. If you're the offensive line, I always look at this from a lineman's perspective more than anything else. I go, man, you're gonna throw that damn ball away. You're gonna get us, you're gonna get us all fired. It's a bad deal. But hey, great night for Enigbari. He made some really, really good plays when it mattered. So this is that other handoff of the pin and pull. And if you just go back and watch in the execution of this, different defense now. They're just out of a 2x2, and those guys are tight. So you have to figure they're either running some sort of crack or they're running it over. The corner really is gonna have to make a play, come up right here, set the edge. Always a difficult task because you can't cut those linemen anymore. I don't know why more people don't run this. And this really is a game of confidence. And what do I mean by that? If you're the offensive line, you're down by 20 points, and you got the backup quarterback in, and you start doing the math, and it's like, man, he really gave up 60. He got sacked 60 times last year. Like that's like when David Carr was in the league. We got him at Carolina, and it's kind of turning. It's a little bit of a damaged goods thing when you think like, oh, if a guy got sacked that much, part of that's the offensive line, the protection scheme, and everything. Part of that's the guy, like, he's looking for the sack. He's looking for the rusher. So that said, you got two eyes. Carl Brooks. The hard part sometimes about blocking a guy who's head up or a 2 eyes, you don't really know how to set. And again, Tomlinson's a good player. But you see Carl Brooks just takes an outside swipe and then a bull. And you just see the body position of the guard right here is just, you couldn't block me doing that. It's just a really, really tough position to be in. He's turned to the sideline. He's standing straight up and down. He's getting bulled. And unfortunately for him, this wasn't the last play of the game, but last play that we're going to show here. You really have to commend, I think, the Packers defense and the job they're doing. Hafley is they're just so much more fun to watch than last year. Now, offensively, I'll give you one stat line. That's really all you need to hear. Jordan Love, 20 for 27, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 27 throws, okay? 30 points, 27 throws. That's all you need to say about this game. Packers had the Seahawks number offensively, certainly from the early on. But getting the ball to Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs finished with 136 total yards, 1 touchdown. Really not a great night on the ground. He had 3.6 yards per carry. It's not a good night. They only averaged 4.1 yards per carry for the entire team. But here's the thing that we just can't figure out. It's tough to quantify. Josh Jacobs allows this team to start fast, confident, physical, dominant in a way that it's just, again, it's difficult. It's difficult to put into numbers. Because of his ability to make guys miss, because of the different ways that Matt LaFleur is getting him the football, the check down that goes for 13, 15 yards, whatever, 2, 3 tackles broke. This is a situation where these guys continually walk onto the field going like, I can always be on my front foot. I can be aggressive. I can make a mistake. I don't have to, if I miss a guy, if I'm just playing hard, it seems that, and up front, I think this is probably an effect of up for the guys up front more than anything else. If they just stick to it and play hard, there's so many plays where it doesn't have to be perfect. But this guy, if you get movement, good things happen. He just understands how to find space. He always falls forward. He's like a Mon Green. He always falls forward. He never gets tackled backwards. And he's just really, he's a different kind of guy than Aaron Jones. But for this year and the situation that they're in, the tone that they need to set, and quite frankly, if you look at Jordan Love's last couple games, and I think if you went on, ESPN, they might be talking about how great Jordan Love is and his numbers, and I think it's valid because he's playing really well. But if you keep his attempts under 30, I think he's a really good player. When you get above that, it's like the turnovers start coming, and there's always different reasons for why you're throwing the ball that much. But I always go back to that Detroit game, raining. It's in Lambeau. He throws the ball 42 times, and you're like, you drop back 42 times, you deserve to lose the football game. So while this wasn't an efficient day, the way that they're able to start and force the Seahawks to make changes is huge. Great night for scheme to prevail as well. I just thought Matt LaFleur has done and is doing as a play caller such a good job of putting them in, let's just call winnable leverage matchups. And the Packers are winning those matchups certainly more often than not. Let's take a quick peek here. So we start off, and no tight end. I mean, they're going to put the tight end in the backfield. So this really just looks like a spread far option. Pistol far, spread right. And when they run this play, there's two things I want to point out. One, I don't think anybody on the planet thinks it's going to end up like a toss. Okay, but then two, this is big time. Josh Myers had a great game, and it's on this podcast. I can't remember the last time we just really had a great Josh Myers, complimentary, the whole thing, why we played. This is a big time game by him, man. He did so well on the run, and the double teams got so much movement. It made such a difference in the football game. And my hat's off to him. This is one of the better games I think I've ever seen him play. So gets out, dominant block, and really springs this thing. That is a tough-ass block for a center to make. I showed it twice. Such a big deal. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Same foot, same shoulder strike. SFSS. Okay. The evolution at the tight end position of Tucker Kraft and what he's meant to the offense. This sounds like no big deal. But let's just look at the numbers here and why this is huge. First of all, Sean Ryan's got to make a tough-ass block here on the 3 technique. Now, this guy isn't a world beater. This is their backup. Big body. He does a good job. Marginal. Great job. Great job. Got the guy on the ground. So single block, Sims 89 just has to stalemate the outside linebacker. And we've got this double up to the backer, and we've got a double up to the backer with the left guard, left tackle. Okay? And if that happens, under center, we're winning. Same foot, same shoulder. So second step, Tucker Ground puts his right step in the ground, right foot in the ground. Second step, same foot, same shoulder with your left foot, left shoulder. Knocks this guy to the other side of Zach Tom. Wait, 1, 2. Knocks him all the way over to the other side of Zach Tom, gets on up to the linebacker, and creates this hole. Zach just gets enough to create the hole there, gets through to the second level, and of course, we always know he's going to fall forward for extra 2 to 3 yards. We go under center play action pass, and they do a good job here of creating bad throwing lanes for the quarterback. But you've got tight end up top with about almost 10 yards of space. And you got Josh Jacobs catching the ball with about 7 yards of space. So we got breakdown on Jacobs, makes one guy miss. He's 10 yards downfield, makes 2 guys miss, runs through the tackle, runs through the third tackle, gets the fourth tackle, finally gets taken down after a 15-yard gain. That's what he's able to do early on. This just makes a huge difference for the Green Bay Packers. No question about it. We go under center here. Look at these double teams. If you wanted to put up clinic tape on how to do something the right way, let me show you why this is so great. There's so much movement between the left guard and the center. And this technique that they're showing was really made popular by the Steelers with Le'Veon Bell, where the center would actually almost piggyback up the back of the left guard or right guard on their way up to the second level, and it really helped push through. It allowed that left guard to go full speed one, but it really helped push through, and it creates this. 13's got a real issue. Do I want to shoot this gap? In which case, Sean Ryan's supposed to be going to 13 here. Do I want to shoot this gap, or do I have to sit and play over the top? If I play over the top, because of the movement, I'm probably never going to make the play. Well, he decides to hold, and we really don't even have to block him. Sean Ryan's just fighting to not get pushed across instead of worrying about getting to his guy. But they're getting such movement upfield. I mean, 5 yards off the ball. Josh Myers moved this. Josh and Jenkins have moved this guy 5 yards off the ball. We got 4 yards on the other backside. And you just have no chance of making plays. This is a good next 15, 20-yard gain by Josh Jacobs. And you're going, that is a legitimate clinic tape by the offensive line, particularly the four guys, left guard and right tackle. So we go motion to bring. There's two reasons we do this. One, we want Dobbs singled up, make sure we have the matchup we're looking for. Two, it forces the linebacker to come back in so we can run the quick slant. Something you're not really going to see from this angle, right? This is not, traditionally you're not thinking like, okay, top of the numbers and run a quick slant when we're on the left hash. But they just do a push off, slant, and just a savage move to catch it. Savage tackled on the 5, double teamed on the 3, and falls forward in for the touchdown. Just dominant, man. Absolute savage play by Romeo Dobbs. We go motion across. This is our ghost motion over the top. And this is our obligatory, at least once a game now. We feel like Christian Washington catches a 35, 40-yard go route. I just like to put him in there. Another great blocking scheme. A lot of people ask, like, okay, why are we in pistol under center, like offset? What does it mean? What does it matter? Well, look where Josh Jacobs is. They're going to run this ball. Initially, it starts going to the right. And it puts the nose tackle, who would usually be backside. In other words, if we were in pistol or it was under center and they ran a play to the right, like an outside zone or inside zone to the right, it puts him backside. It gives him a different kind of leverage on the play. Right now, he's play side. And so what that really means is we've got Josh Myers going up to the play side linebacker. They're going to be running like a big slip here with Josh Myers on the 3 technique. Josh is going to turn his chest to the sideline and really not be in a position to make this block. But Jenkins does such a good job, and really it's the leverage portion of this because Josh Jacobs is behind in the B gap. When they run this and they get everybody moving this way, we just have to pin backside because of the RPO look. The linebacker holds on the backside. He's 6 yards deep. And this isn't, again, easy 5-10 yard pickup, even though they don't really block the play side backer. He ends up running into Jenkins. Jenkins does a good job just throwing his body in the way. But it's just because the leverage points change. So schematically, when these defenses were thought up, it was like, the back's going to be here. The back's going to be here. Okay, what does all this? What do all these different things mean? Like this play, just go back. I mean, this play is simple to block. If you just look at, okay, how do I block this? Well, I have to book somebody on the backside. Who am I going to book? Okay, well, I brought this motion over the top, so I think that's going to hold my backer on the backside. So I'm just going to cut the defense by having Rashid just block out on the defensive end. Jenkins is going to be running as a play side blocker. This is essentially like a right guard doing a 3 technique, running this guy away from Josh Jacobs. And Josh can really make that cut backside, knowing that backside linebacker is probably going to hold because of the action of the quarterback. And that's what you love about this play, man. It's just this is the new reality. Now you've got to have a running back that can make this cut. But that's just a great 5 yard. That's just such an easy 5 yard pickup. All right. Jump off sides, throw the ball up. The old standard Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, now Jordan Love play. Tucker Kraft comes down with the ball. It's going to be a good day. I don't know how many you actually get of those when the guys on the other side jump and they throw the ball up, and it just probably 5, 6 a year, but it's fantastic. All right, look at this doubles. So we got two great doubles. They're moving off the ball so much. Tucker Kraft misses on the outside defensive end, outside linebacker. This is a dead to rights play, except there's so much movement between the right tackle and the left guard. They've pushed those guys so far that there's a vacated space that Josh Jacobs can enter into. And because of that, this guy literally has to run around Zach Tom while Jacobs just takes off down the middle for another 6, 7 yard gain. Fantastic. Look at the splits on the inside here. We're winning pre-snap with the splits. So you got a yard split between the center and both guards. Because of your formation, you have a 6-man box, but really let's call this what it is. If we're just looking at from tackle to tackle, there are four defensive players in the box. And so we're going to push out with Zach Tom. I mean, 19 times out of 19 times he's making that block. And you've got Sean Ryan and Josh Myers double teaming all the way out to Ernest Jr., right? This is such an easy block. I mean, they'll win this play. Josh Myers will be able to widen the hole like 100 out of 100 times. So really, it's just a question of, can Rashid and Elgin Jenkins get any movement on this backside? Can you get any movement? If the answer is yes, you got a big-time play here. This is winning pre-snap. Great scheme by Matt LaFleur. If you showed this to Amon Green, Amon's going to go, what the hell is going on? That somebody is going to even run a defense that would make that possible. And it's not like a 3rd and 26, where they don't care. Craziness. All right. I just want to show this play. I mean, good play by Williams here, but it's really just a popular stunt that's been coming up a lot in National Football League. It's always been there, but for whatever reason, I think in the last 4 or 5 weeks, I feel like I've seen this play being made by you pick your tight end strength and you stun away from it. So you got all these guys going to the backside, C, B, A, and then we've got the right defensive end just going right to Jenkins in the guard spot. And then we've got the 13, we've got the linebacker. Really, he's responsible for that play side A. He's going to hold it late. And so Sean Ryan and Zach Tom have to be on the same page here. And Myers, obviously, Myers gets beat bad. So you're never sure is Sean trying to kind of cover for him and hoping that Zach covers for him, because Zach Tom obviously takes good enough footwork that he just stones this guy at the line of scrimmage. But between Sean and Josh Myers, they whiff. And, Sean can kind of lean into the next guy. Josh can't. End up making a play on 4th and 1. We got that same look now. Tight. The outside linebacker is actually pointing at Tucker Kraft like, hey, he's going to crack me. But look at the action here. So we've got the right guard's going to pull. We've got the tight end showing that he's going to go follow, like this is going to be some sort of counter play. And then you're going to have the center step. And again, Josh Myers does a great job of getting out front. And the backside X is going to go all the way around, take the toss, and they're running a reverse off this action. Again, Josh makes the play, getting downfield, really kind of gets in the way of 2 guys. Fantastic job. Love this route. So you would think they're going to do a little rub here, and Romeo Doubs attacks the hip of the outside receiver, outside DB, and then he ends up just kind of running a nod into the center of the field. You think they're going to run the slant here, but they don't. They run like a pick slant upfield, and then they run out of 5. I can't believe I just did that. Oh, here we go. Got it. This is icing on the cake. Dobbs had 3 catches but 2 touchdowns. And he just right here, they're all kind of discombobulated. They had to switch this off. And then they've got Watson coming back not at 5, at about 10. But it's too late. They didn't switch it off in time. Dobbs is open, makes a phenomenal play. Icing on the cake kind of stuff. I really am you got to be super impressed with with the way this team plays. And you every single week they've demonstrated that they're kind of they punch at their level. They've won the games that they're supposed to win. They've lost the games that they're supposed to have lost, and in the next coming weeks, they're going to have an opportunity to overcome that, particularly with the Vikings. Now they got to keep pace with this NFC North. I think both teams. Detroit is in trouble. Detroit lost Montgomery. Detroit lost Inley McNeil. I think they actually lost. They lost another player. I can't remember his name. I apologize for that. I know they might get Hutchinson back by the Super Bowl, but let's face facts. They started that night. I think they started the Bills loss with 13 guys hurt, and they got worse, not better. And they're losing key players. And at some point, you think that's going to catch up, especially that defensive line without Inley McNeil. I think that's a big deal. So now you're missing your two top guys at those positions. Although Zadarius is, obviously playing well. Listen, DJ Reader when he's healthy, etc. But Packers have the Saints this week. They're not going to. They're probably not going to be able to catch either one of those teams, but they might. Because Detroit can go on a slide. Minnesota, they look pretty good in Chicago. NFC North is just really, really powerful division right now, and I guess the only good news is you're playing the Saints. You don't know what's going to happen to Detroit with all those injuries. More importantly, over the course of the next month and a half, 2 months, whatever it is till the Super Bowl, it does look like there's a realistic pathway to success. I think the Packers now have 15% odds of going to the Super Bowl, winning the NFC. I don't know if they were that high before this weekend had started because of the injuries in Detroit. So sometimes when that happens, you got to be able to capitalize. It'll be interesting to see what the Packers, how the Packers do these to finish out the season. They certainly, one of the things we talked about last week with those one-on-one matchups of defensive tackle, I thought they did a great job. Really got to be able to get that yard when you need to get that yard in the run game. But God, some of the scheme plays, and really the performance of the offensive line with some of those doubles. I mean, it wasn't a perfect night, obviously, but good God, they looked. Some of that was clinic, and it looked really, really good. So fantastic stuff. You can find me, Mike Wahle 68 on X, Process to Perform on Instagram. Hit me up on the channel, Process to Perform on YouTube. Subscribe to it, rate and review. Thank you to our sponsor, Bet Online. He is doing a hell of a job down there. It doesn't surprise me at all. He's a great special teams coordinator when I was down in Miami. But I got to tell you, different ball of yarn. Haven't watched too much of them. We'll watch it. I know they lost their quarterback. Should be a win. Talk to you soon, boys.